I have a loading circle. Your wizard. Hi! Hello, my sweet adoptive children. Okay, it says I'm live, but I can't even see my feed. Oh, my feed's right there. Okay. Okay, this is weird. I've also never done live on Facebook on a laptop. It's always been on a phone, so this is weird and different. And there's the comment section. Actually, I'm going to block that so I don't get distracted, and I'll answer stuff. Ugh! Okay, now that hot mess is dealt with. Okay, I've never been live on 3 things before. If I'm not looking at your specific camera that you're watching on, sorry, I'll probably look at the Facebook one most of the time because that one I know I can at least post and I can save and then post it onto YouTube later and stuff. Whereas TikTok doesn't save at all and Instagram is only 24 hours, so. Anywho, and this is a little weird because on Facebook it's a mirror image of TikTok and Instagram, so I'm looking at mirror images. Okay, anyways. I have a video I was going to make because I've been ranting about this to my husband, and he's a little frustrated because yes, we just started, Tris. You haven't missed a darn thing. You haven't missed anything. Where my YouTube... Okay, I can't read your comments right now. I have ADHD. I have to just talk, okay? We're separated, but we're living in the same house because, quarantine crap. And it's awkward. And I talk about this a lot, and instead of just ranting to him all the time, I thought, why not educate some people? And I've tried educating people in comments and stuff, but it just doesn't come across the same. That's something I've learned through various social media means and friendships and things, that I do not come across the same over written or typed word as I do on video or in person. Because in different situations where it's just typed, like text or Facebook or whatever, where it's just me typing or writing or whatever, everybody thinks I'm an asshole. Everybody does. Sorry to all my very Christian people that are watching this, but everybody thinks I'm just mean and rude and condescending. And then I do things on video and people are like, you are the sweetest person. And I'm like, why does everybody think I'm mean? It's because I don't come across the same. I don't. So we're making a video. Anywho, there are 2 things I want to talk about that are really big things. And one of them is direct. They're related to each other. So I want to say, if you're watching this and you're not a Christian, kind of just bear with the Christian part of it, because there's a part of it that does directly apply to you. And if you're watching this and you are a Christian but you have no mental health issues at all, bear with it and stick through and watch that part, because they go together. Okay, so you're gonna want to see both parts, even if only one part applies to you. Okay, they tie together. Okay. So, there's a lot of drama over this quarantine, right? And there's people that are protesting, and there's people that are really upset, and it has become extremely divisive because there are people who are just like, I want to go get my hair done, and I want to go get my nails done, and I want to go browse around Target. And then there's the people that are like, I need to go to work and provide for my family. But then on the other side, there's the people that are like, people are dying, so we need to stay home. Why are you being so selfish? And then there's the people that are kind of in between and I'm concerned, but I also see the validity of it. And yeah, it's been very divisive. And people have a hard time discussing it kindly. And yeah, I want to say a couple things about it that might surprise you. First, everybody who thinks your constitutional rights are being violated, please go read the Constitution. I have 2 copies of the Constitution in my house, and I've read them multiple times, and nobody's rights are being violated. Just saying. This is not an argument about whether our rights are being violated or not. That's not what this is about at all, because I don't understand why that's even a discussion, because if you actually read it, nothing's being violated. It's stressful and it's annoying, but that's the extent of it. It's just stressful and annoying. Anyways, I'm going to start with the Christian part of this, because that way I can get rid of one of these books. I got my Bible here, and I noted it because I have things that are highlighted, but I didn't want to have to sit here flipping through and being like, okay, let's get to the right chapter. So I noted it, and it looks funny now, and I can't wait to rip these off. I'm going to do the Christian part first, because that they tie in together, but I feel like that's just a better intro one. So, like I said, if you're not a Christian, just bear with me. You'll learn a little bit about what Christians are supposed to believe, I guess. I've been really disturbed by some of the things I've heard Christians say at this time. One in particular that really, really bothers me is people saying that, people die every day. More people are going to survive this than are going to die from it. So life's a bee and then you die. People are going to die. Oh, well. Like, it's not like people are just disposable. Which I feel really goes against what we're supposed to be. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head that is directly comparable is being pro-life or pro-choice. And a lot of Christians fight really hard for unborn babies, which I love. But more babies are born each year than are aborted each year. So based on your logic of the quarantine, that more people will survive than die, there's no reason to fight for the lives of the unborn babies because more of them are born than die, right? Like, do you see how that logic is really, really flawed? There's a couple things I want to read to you. Dun, dun, dun. And I have these, like, some of these are memorized, some of them are not, but I specifically tabbed them in the Bible instead of just writing them down, so you see I'm actually reading it out of the Bible. I'm not just, like, making it up. Okay. Quarantine is hard. It is really hard. I'm not saying it's not hard. It's very difficult. It's very stressful. I've had to deal with depression more lately than I've had to deal with in a long time. It's been... I want to preface it with that. I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying it's easy to anybody at all, because it's not. It's really difficult. Even for introverts, it's difficult. It's really stressful. That's okay, Tris. It'll be posted for a while, so you can come back and watch it later if you want. That being said, a lot of people seem to forgetting what Jesus said in Luke. You don't have to respond. Oh, that's an old copy. Okay, never mind. Luke 9:23 says, "Then he said to them all, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me." That's something a lot of Christians like to promote when their life is easy and they're trying to help somebody else that's going through a rough time, but they tend to forget it when they're going through a rough time. Jesus said, you got to deny yourself, and you've got to struggle, and you're going to struggle, and it's going to be hard, but you need to follow him. Like, he flat out said it. He also said, what good is it for someone to gain the whole world and let you lose or forfeit their very self? Honestly, when I read that, I don't just think about the people that want their leisure activities back, but I think about even the people that want to go to work. I know it's hard to not provide for I can't work right now. I can't. The two jobs that I have and that I can do are actually essential jobs, but I'm pregnant and they don't yet know how this virus will affect a fetus. And we do know that fevers affect a fetus negatively and can cause different defects. And COVID-19 typically has a really high fever, so it'd be really dangerous for Maverick for me to be working. Otherwise, I would be. If I wasn't pregnant, I would be. I wouldn't mind risking my life to help other people. But it's not about me. I'd be a lot less depressed, but it's not about me. It's about him. So I'm suffering for him. That went off on a tangent. Anyways, what is the point of going, think about going to work and providing for your family is definitely important. Nobody's saying it's not. But what are you sacrificing of yourself? Like, what of your character are you sacrificing by not relying on services that are here to help you and insisting on doing it on your own and then putting other people in danger? I don't think that's very Christ-like. And then in Matthew 10:38, yes. Whoever does not take up their cross and follow me is not worthy of me. flat out says it's going to be challenging. You need to put yourself last. You need to take on the things that are going to be struggles. Life is going to be hard, but in order to follow me, it's going to be hard. And then says those who are not willing to do that are not worthy of me. So that kind of is convicting for me, at least in many other ways not related to the quarantine. And what am I not willing to suffer? And how much am I falling from his grace because I'm not willing to suffer for someone else or for his cause, for his glory, for whatever? Like, what does that say about me as a follower if I'm not willing to take up my cross? The main point of that is it is a sacrifice. It is hard. Nobody's saying that quarantine isn't hard. The final one about how difficult in relation to, I know quarantine is hard, is in 2 Samuel, there's a story about sacrifice. It's talking to King David. And David replies to, I can't pronounce this guy's name, Arana. He's talking about giving him a sacrifice so David can burn this sacrifice, because that was back before Jesus when people had burnt sacrifices. He replied to him, no, I insist on paying you for it. I will not sacrifice to the Lord my God burnt offerings that cost me nothing. There's a whole story there you can read, but the concept behind that, the principle behind that is powerful. It's not a sacrifice if it doesn't cost you anything. It's not a sacrifice if it's not difficult. You're not taking up your cross if you are not suffering in some way. I'm not saying life should be miserable and you should be miserable all the time, but you have to consider, like, am I really dying to myself? Am I really taking every thought captive if I am not willing to struggle, if I'm not willing to suffer a little bit? Because Romans 6:13, do not offer any part of yourself to sin as an instrument of wickedness. Rather, offer yourselves to God as those who have brought from death to life, and offer every part of yourself to him as an instrument of righteousness. Is protesting something that's keeping people safe, something that's righteous? Do you think that's something Jesus would be doing? I don't think so. I really have a hard time picturing that. I urge you, brothers and sisters, in the views of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. That's Romans 12:1. Offer yourselves as a sacrifice. What do we just read about? Sacrifice costs you something. It costs something. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, or else it wouldn't be a sacrifice. It wouldn't. That one I'm going to save. I'm not reading all these in order because some of them... Not doing that one either yet. In a little bit. I see a lot of people who aren't Christians are saying this, and this doesn't apply to them because they don't, but I see a lot of Christians talking about how hard this is, and like that's a reason to end it. But there's so many other things that are hard that you tell people who are struggling when you're not, that you need to push through it. You know, when somebody's having a hard time in their marriage, hey, don't get a divorce. Like, the Lord doesn't like divorce. You need to fight for it. You need to push through. You need to get better. People who are in marriages that suck for decades before it finally gets better. And other Christians encourage them to keep trying and keep going and keep pushing. And it'll, like, stay with it. Persevere. But we've been in this for only 6 weeks and people are already like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. I can't do it. What kind of message are we sending to the rest of the world when we keep trying to promote persevering and that you have to die to yourself and sacrifice for God's glory, but we can't do that right now? Like, the whole world is watching us right now, okay? That being said, a big issue a lot of people have is that we can't go to church. We can't go sit in an actual church and worship together, that we cannot have our traditional church services. Drive-up church services are okay in most places, and people are doing online church services. So it's not like we're being forbidden from practicing our religion. We just have to be a little more creative in how we're doing it. So our freedom of religion is not being violated. But it bothers me that there's a lot of people that are so upset about not being able to go physically to their place of worship. And they're more worried about that than being God's hands and feet in the world. Like, how many of you are capable? You have the supplies and the abilities, but you haven't been making masks for people. How many of you have canned goods that you don't need and you know somebody who needs them and you haven't offered to donate? How many of you can go to the grocery store and you have a friend or family member or somebody that you know is immune compromised or you know is working all the time and can't get to the store and you haven't offered to get them something? Like, how many of you know there's a neighbor that's got kids that are driving them nuts and you can hear them yelling at them all the time because they're going stir crazy and you haven't thought to, drop off some coloring books for them or something? Like, we're supposed to be God's hands and feet right now. And instead of being at the Capitol and protesting and posting on Facebook about how mad we are that we can't go to church and how mad we are that we can't go to the store and how miserable we are, what are we promoting to the world about God and about Jesus if we are this negative right now? If all the world is hearing from us is how upset we are. What is that? How is that being a good witness to the world? How is that showing God's love to the world? Like, this is our time to shine. Like, this is such a huge opportunity for the church to show what the church really is and show that the church is not just a building, that the church is a group of people that will love and put themselves last and just better the world as much as they can. We have this huge opportunity right now, and too many people are sitting and complaining about how miserable they are. Like I said, I know you're miserable. I've been kind of miserable too. I've been trying to not complain about it too much because I'm trying to look at the bright side of it. And here's some reasons why. So we already talked about sacrifice is part of being a Christian and sacrifice sucks, but here's some things that I think some people need to be reminded of. 2 Corinthians 4:8. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. Remember that. It's hard, but we are still God's people, and we are still an undefeated people, and we still have heaven ahead of us, and we are not beaten down and destroyed, so we need to stop focusing on the hardship of it and focus on Him. Okay? 2 Corinthians 9:11, you will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion, and through us your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God. We are built, our character is built by our hardship. Remember that. This is hard, but you are going to be enriched by this. You're going to go stronger through this. You are going to build perseverance through this. Your faith is going to grow through this. So stop complaining about it and start utilizing it and learning from it. Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. That is one of the most popular Bible verses that people love to spout to others when they're suffering. That is one that I heard so much when Judah died, and it annoyed me because I was very aware of it and I was doing okay with that. But now's your chance. All of you who have spewed this before and told people, like, give thanks in all circumstances, like, be grateful, keep your eyes on God. Now's your chance to do that. Now's your chance to practice what you preach. I know it's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard, but you have this wonderful opportunity to grow closer to God through this trial, and instead you're complaining about it and trying to end the trial and just focused on how hard it is and not on what you can gain from it and what the world can gain from it, what the church can gain from it. Colossians 3:15, let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace and to be thankful. Is protesting on the Capitol, around the Capitol, being full of peace and thankfulness? Is complaining on Facebook every other day about laws that you don't like being full of peace and thankfulness? Is complaining about the people who want this quarantine being full of peace and thankfulness? Like, I know this is kind of overkill, but I'm just hoping something gets through to somebody who needs to hear it, because these are all things that I was like drawn to. Like I said, some of these I already knew, I already have memorized, some of them not so much, but all of these I actually already had highlighted from previous times I've been reading my Bible and looking at it, and all of them I was drawn to. So I don't know who needs to hear one of them, but here's the last Bible verse. Then this was the last one because this is my favorite one because this one had a profound impact on my life. 1 Thessalonians 5:16. Look at that, I'm trying not to get teary. Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And this is something that is really hard for people to understand. I know. I'm going to tell a little story. I'm not going to give the full story because, well, quite frankly, we don't have time for that. I'm trying to make this like not a super long thing. If you want to know the story, read the book The Hiding Place. It's great. Or find a play or something you can watch. I was in a play, and that's where I learned this lesson, and it's been very powerful. But a little example I want to give. During World War II, there were groups of Christians in concentration camps that thanked God for their circumstances every day. The last reference is 1 Thessalonians 5:16. Yes, first. I had to make sure it was not 2 Thessalonians. There were groups of Christians that were in concentration camps that were being abused, being beaten, being worked to the bone, dying, starving in concentration camps that could thank God for their circumstance, that could thank God for where they were at. And that is mind-boggling to some people, I know, and especially in our current situation, some people don't understand how on earth can you thank God when you are suffering like that. Paul did it. Look at all the times in the New Testament Paul wrote about all the different ways he suffered and he could still thank God. And we can't thank God while we're sitting in my house isn't air conditioned. Most people are in air conditioned homes with TVs and computers and tablets and family members and running water and electricity. And we have so many comforts here and we can't thank God because we can't go to the store. Really? And this is I know I've done this too. I have complained so much. And what's been amazing to me is watching other people complain has enlightened me to my own failures and helped me go, oh shit, I sound just like them. I'm complaining about this. And in all reality, like I've seen people talk about celebrities complaining about how miserable they are and then being like, you have a movie theater and a bowling alley and a pool in your house. Like, how are you suffering? Well, honestly, I could say the same to the rest of America. You have running water and electricity. How are you suffering? You have a TV, a tablet, a smartphone. You're on Facebook on your smartphone. You have a smartphone. How are you suffering? How are you suffering? We have this warped view of suffering. We're so spoiled and privileged that we are more focused on not having our creature comforts than focused on God and his glory and what we can do as the church at this time. How can we help other people? How can we glorify him through this? If we praise him in the middle of the storm, what is that saying to the rest of the world? What does that say? Versus what are we saying to the rest of the world when all we're doing is complaining? I did not tab this one, and this one is one I have memorized, but I don't know exactly where it's at. But there is several verses that say, do not complain. Do not complain. And all we're doing is complaining. All we're doing is talking about how miserable we are. What is that saying to the rest of the world as the church? We are supposed to die to ourselves. We are supposed to sacrifice ourselves and love others. 2 Corinthians 4:8, I believe. Love protects. It always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. The first part, love always protects. Are we protecting people by protesting? Are we protecting people by wanting to go out? Or are we protecting people by staying in? Like, really think about that. Think about that, I beg you. Think about really what we are saying to the world as Christians when we are complaining about the current situation, not trying our best to make the best of it, and to keep our eyes on him and on eternity during this time. That being said, like I said, I know it's difficult. America has almost twice the rate of depression of any other country in the world. Okay? Any other country in the world. We have twice the rate of depression. And I'm sure this quarantine situation is not helping that. Like I said, I've been doing a lot worse. I've been having a really hard time. But shortly before this started, I did a hashtag on TikTok called Misfit Mind Hacks, and I think I shared them on Instagram too. And I'm going to share some of those right now because the world needs them right now. Our mental health is struggling. Introverts and extroverts alike, everybody's mental health is struggling because this kind of goes against our norm. It goes against our nature to stay in. And understandably, that is why some people are protesting. But I want to do what I can to help with that, okay? Some of these are going to sound like, really, really, that's going to help me feel better. Trust me, though, it will. All of these are things that I have tried personally and seen at least some sort of effect. If I have not tried it, it is something that there is ample research on. Not like one small study here or there and it's kind of woo, hippy dippy stuff. Like ample evidence that this is effective. Because not everybody can get into their doctor and get antidepressants right now. Not everybody wants to take antidepressants. So, first of all, eat healthy. For the love of God. I know that's really hard right now. A lot of people cannot find fruits and vegetables and fresh meat and stuff right now. Groceries are out of so much and people are eating out a lot. So I get that that is not 100% possible for everybody, but try as best you can. Make sure you get some vegetables in your body. Like, trust me, you'll feel better. But another huge thing is drink water. Drink water. Not everybody has drinkable water and water bottles are hard to find, but drink as much as you can. Your body needs water. It needs water. My notes are crazy. Look at this. They're everywhere. I was like writing stuff down so I wouldn't ramble too much so I could like stay on topic, but it just, my page is rambling. Social connections are really important. That's one reason why people are struggling so much, because they're missing the social connections that they have, those face-to-face interactions with people. And a lot of people are resorting to FaceTime is not terrible, but a lot of people are texting more and using social media more. Guilty. That's not social connections. You're still going to be miserable because looking and scrolling through people's Facebook is... My children are fighting. I lost my train of thought. Oh, that's not giving you the social things you need. Scrolling through people's Facebook, seeing their status updates, and looking at memes, like that's not connecting. It's not. Call someone on the phone. How about you interact with your own family, the people who you live with? Instead of looking at your screen, your Facebook, your TikTok, and I know I'm saying this while you're watching me on a screen, but pay attention to the people in your family. Have a conversation. Play a board game. Do something with them. Have some connection with other people. You need it. As a human, like, you need that. That's one reason a lot of people are struggling right now, because they are missing out on social connections, and that is detrimental to us as humans. So if you can't call somebody or FaceTime with somebody, interact with your darn family members, okay? Even though some of them are small children, and I swear I don't want to hear about how droidicas can fire at whatever rate and their force field is X amount. Like, I don't want to hear about it again, but I need to connect with people, and my children need to connect with people too. Like, connect with people. That huge part of mental health is connecting with people. Did you know after somebody's endured a trauma, part of what determines if they're going to fall into a depression, develop PTSD, or if they're going to get through it okay, a huge part of that is how many people they have around them, is how big their community is. Huge part of that. You need to connect with other people. You need to, as a human, it is essential. Number 3, volunteer. Not everybody can volunteer right now. I know that. I'm well aware. But things like, I've been using scraps of fabric that I found and making masks for people. Believe it or not, that small little act has helped so much, because it's a source of pride. It helps you feel productive. It helps you feel like your life is meaningful. It have purpose, that you're doing something. Find a way to volunteer, even if it's just, go live and read a story, like read a picture book or something that people can put their kids in front of while they go do their makeup. I don't know. Make a goofy YouTube show where you're doing goofy crap for little kids to watch so their parents can have a break for a minute. Like, that's a way to volunteer. Make TikToks to make people laugh. Do things to try to educate people. Make masks. Ask someone if you can go around and mow people's lawns. Like, do something. Find something. There's some way you can volunteer and do something for someone. That's going to build your confidence and your sense of purpose, and going to help get you out of that funk as well. Break up the monotony. We're all stuck at home. We're doing like the same thing every day, the same routine over. Like, that's not helping anybody. Like, break it up somehow. Don't do the exact same thing every single day. You're just going to be miserable. A lot of my viewers are young children, so this won't apply to you, I hope. I'm talking to you, TikTokers. And Instagram, not so much on my Facebook, but But all to all the adults, we all joke about, like, I'm drinking at 9 a.m., like we're joking about it, but seriously, lay off the alcohol. Lay off. It's not helping you. It's a depressant. You're drinking. I'm not saying everybody's an alcoholic all of a sudden, but you're having a glass of wine because your kids are stressing you out and you're building a habit. And it's just, you're going to get into a bad habit, and it's going to be, don't do it. Don't turn to alcohol when you're stressed out. Do something else. Find another way to cope other than having a glass of wine. If we weren't in the middle of quarantine, yeah, you could just, go ahead and have a glass of wine, whatever. But since you're lacking so many coping skills that you need, don't turn to the bad ones because they're easy. You're going to have to find other good ones. Don't drink alcohol to cope. Don't do it. Trust me. Trust me. Been there. Don't do it. Then get help. If you are feeling depressed, if your anxiety is going through the roof, if you are like, frack, how did I get into this? I don't know what to do. Then those social connections we talked about, connect with them. Contact someone. Be like, dude, I can't stop crying today. I don't want to get out of bed. I'm having a hard time finding like a purpose. I'm miserable. Talk to somebody about it. A friend could help you. If just talking to somebody's not helping enough, email your doctor. Call your doctor. Yes, it's harder to get appointments right now, but it's not impossible. Like, if you need help, then reach out and get help. Okay? Gratitude journal. I have one. I'm not going to go get up and grab it right now, but I have a gratitude journal, and I found that's helped a lot, because it's one thing to say like, okay, I need to be thankful. I need to be thankful. I need to be thankful. And a friend of mine was talking to me about this. She had a bit of anxiety attack because of this kind of thing. And you kind of try to dissociate, but there's a difference between like telling yourself to be thankful and stuffing your emotions, and actually going and finding things to be thankful for. Because when you actually find things that you are legitimately thankful for, and you're not trying to force gratitude, instead of dissociating and stuffing feelings and ending up blowing up later, you can actually rewire your brain to finding the good things and kind of pulling yourself out of it on your own. And it's helped me a lot. Limit the amount of screen time you have. Again, as I say while you're watching me on a screen, limit screen time. There are numerous studies. Look up ESS, electronic screen syndrome. I know it's ESS. There are numerous studies showing an increase in depression and anxiety directly linked with screens. It also shows increases in hyperactivity, and it also shows decreases in quality and length of sleep. And sleep definitely affects your depression if you're not sleeping well enough. Screens. It's shown that a certain amount of screen time each day, I don't know the number off the top of my head, so I'm not going to give you a number that I'm not going to misquote it to you. So I'm just going to say there's some amount. Look it up if you're curious about the specific amount. There's an amount of screen time you can have in a day that even in adults, not just in children with their developing minds, in adults, it will reduce the gray and white matter in your brain. Screens, not bueno. They are definitely very useful for entertainment and connecting and things like that, and keeping your kids occupied just so you can put some freaking makeup on or pee by yourself. Like, I get it, but be mindful of how much you're using, because that could be directly contributing. Think of how many people are depressed and they've also watched 10 times more Netflix in the last 6 weeks than they have in the last year. Directly affects your mental health. So watch the screen time. Some things that have helped me personally, or rather things that can help you figure out what will help you personally. The 4 Tendencies quiz, the Keirsey Sorter, Enneagrams, a Myers-Briggs inventory. Find out about yourself. Take personality quizzes and stuff, like legitimate ones, because you can find them for free online, and learn a little bit about yourself. Because learning about yourself and what makes you tick and how you fit into different things will help you better understand what your brain needs to be healthy. It will. I mean, for a long time, I thought I was an introvert because I have social anxiety, and I thought my uncomfortableness in social settings was because I was an introvert, not because I just have debilitating social anxiety. Anybody that's been around me in like big social things can see that I'm really freaking awkward, and I say the wrong thing sometimes, or I'd rather just not talk and I just sit and stare at everybody. And then when I do say something that I usually am trying to be funny, and people just kind of stare at me like, what did she just say? And I'm just like, I hate myself. I'm really socially awkward because I have really bad social anxiety, and I thought I was an introvert. I am not an introvert. I am an extrovert. So many times I would deliberately avoid social situations because I was like, my depression's really bad today. My anxiety's really bad today. I need to put myself first. I need to like have some me time. And I was making it worse because I need social situations. So take some time to learn about yourself and what you need and what motivates you, and you'll be able to help yourself. You'll be able to see like, oh, you know what? That thing that I'm doing that I think is helpful is actually hurting me. Oh, crap. Okay? Another thing, vitamin D, also directly related to depression levels. Okay, there have been numerous studies directly linking the amount of vitamin D a postpartum woman gets and her risk factor for postpartum depression. It applies to regular old depression too, not postpartum, but that's just a big one that I learned because I had issues with postpartum depression with Logan. Um, Also, lacks of vitamin D not only can cause depression, it can cause fatigue, it can cause muscle pains. And taking a vitamin D supplement is not the best thing because it's not real easily absorbed in the digestive tract. It's actually a really complicated process. If you can't get out and get in the sunshine, fish and egg yolks contain vitamin D, and magnesium helps your body absorb it. But vitamin D is essential. I get sunburned really easily, so I don't go into the sun a whole lot. And when I do, I put sunscreen on. But especially lately with the issues I've been having, I've been making sure to go take a walk around the block for like 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. That's not enough to get a decent burn or anything. It's not going to give you skin cancer, but it's enough to, one, exercise helps get your dopamine, all the oxytocin, gets all the good hormones going in your brain, helps battle mental health issues. And in the sunshine, your body's absorbing vitamin D, helps with mental health issues. Get some vitamin D in your body. Please, your body will thank you. Another thing, we talked about how magnesium helps vitamin D be absorbed. Magnesium is responsible for over 300 chemical reactions in your body. Over 300 of them. And it is one of the top vitamins that is linked to a deficiency being linked to depression. It causes depression in people that are deficient in magnesium. So get you a magnesium supplement if you need to. Oddly enough, there's so many things that are out at the grocery stores that you can't get, but the vitamin section is chock full. Go find you a magnesium supplement. You can get magnesium and probiotics and omega-3s for like $30 in a month. Like, it's really not that expensive. I know everybody is short on money right now, but if you have some of your stimulus money, go get some vitamins. Probiotics and omega-3s are also something that has probiotics. We can't for sure say it affects depression, but there are promising links to probiotic use and reducing anxiety and depression in people who use them. So, worth a shot. I know for me, they've definitely helped. And you don't have to go spend $90 on a bottle of probiotics. Seriously, at this point, just get anything because anything could probably help. Same with omega-3s. Your body has a delicate balance of omegas 3, 6, and 9 in your brain. And when those get out of balance, it can mess up your brain. It can cause all kinds of mental issues. It can cause issues without the rest of your body, but we're talking about mental health right now. Especially because standard American diet is very high in omega-6s, so a lot of people, it is out of whack. So take an omega-3 supplement. It's not going to hurt you. It's either going to help you or it's going to do nothing. You might as well give it a shot, right? Sleep. Okay, 2 more things, people. We're almost there. Or three more things. Another thing is look at the music you're listening to and look at the shows you're watching and such. Like, I've stopped watching as much drama TV. If I do watch something that has drama, then I only stick to one drama show at a time, and I only watch 1 or 2 episodes at a time, and then I finish off the rest with something comedic, something that's going to make me laugh, because it affects your brain. The things you're watching and the things you're listening to affect your brain. Numerous studies, again, it's not hard to find the information if you want to Google it. Numerous studies have shown that what you listen to in your music especially has a tremendous impact on your outlook on life and your attitude and your mental health. Huge impact. Stop listening to music that is depressing. Stop listening to lyrics that are singing about things that are negative and are down or angry. Listen to things that are uplifting. Listen to things that are happy. Listen to things that get you feeling in a good mood, because it affects you so much. And it's really hard, too, because it has such an influence on you. Getting rid of music that is bringing you down is one of the hardest things for people to do, because music evokes such a response in us that we become so attached to it. It's hard to get rid of it. But you need to. I'm going to be honest with you. If you want to get better, that's something you really got to do. It's something I struggle with, but I have slowly over time, I've deleted so many things, and I still have a ways to go, but it definitely makes a difference, okay? Um, two more things. CBT therapy. It's hard to get in with therapists right now. Doing your own therapy, honestly, not that complicated. It's better to do it with a licensed therapist. So if you have that option, please do it with a therapist. If you cannot get one, there are apps that you can get free CBT therapy from an AI that are helpful. It's pretty basic. First, identify how you're feeling. Are you scared? Are you anxious? Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you happy? Like, identify what you're feeling. Then you need to rate that feeling on a scale of 1 to 10. Like, I'm anxious, but it's only about a 3. Or I'm mad and it's like a 9. Like, rate how you're feeling. Then figure out what is causing you to feel that way. What is triggering that feeling? What is contributing to you feeling that way? You burned dinner. Your husband was late coming home from work. Your kids are bouncing off the walls and broke the TV. You can't go outside and see your friends. What is causing that? And then ask yourself, is it going to matter in a year? Is it going to matter in 5 years? Is it going to matter in 10 years? If it isn't going to matter, you just realized how unimportant it is, and you can take some deep breaths and then reevaluate how you feel now that you've thought about it that way. Rate it again. I guarantee you your number is going to go down. Unless it was happy, then it might go up. If it is going to matter 10 years from now, 5 years from now, a year from now, if it is going to matter, then you can go, okay, what can I do about it? Instead of just being mad this is happening or anxious that this is happening, say, okay, what can I do about it? Instead of getting sucked into your feelings, what can I do? And then take some deep breaths, take like 10 solid deep breaths, and then re-rate how you feel. I guarantee you will be feeling a little bit better. It takes time for this to be real effective and for you to do it automatically, but that's one way you can start helping yourself. And finally, because I've been there and I know people are like this, even if you're a Christian, this can happen to you, where you get into such a depressive state that you can't even get out of bed, that everything is dark and bleak and you just can't even brush your hair, you haven't showered, you barely even remember to eat, and depression can be really ugly. One thing that I've found helps dopamine is really, really important. Make a to-do list of everything you need to do. I mean, like, brush hair, eat, go to the bathroom. I don't know. Make a list of everything you need to do. No matter how trivial it seems, if it's something your body needs you to do in a day, write it down. And then every time you accomplish something on that list, physically cross it off. Don't make a list on your phone. Make it on a piece of paper and physically cross it off. Because when you physically cross something off of that list, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, which is something that your brain is usually lacking when you're dealing with depression. That's your motivation. That's what your get up and go. That's something a lot of people with ADHD are not as sensitive to dopamine as others. That's why they struggle. Crossing off that list gives you a hit of dopamine. It gives you a sense of pride. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. It gives you motivation. And then I guarantee it's going to be that much easier to cross off the next thing on your list. And every time you cross something off that list, your brain is getting another hit of dopamine and you are getting further out of your funk. And even if you only cross off one thing, at the end of the day, you can look and say, look what I did. I did something. I got something done. I managed to do something. And yesterday I didn't. And you know what? There's going to be some days where you don't cross anything off the list. There's going to be some days you get the whole list done. There's going to be some days you only get 3 or 4 things done. That's okay. But that is one way to help you when you're struggling, because I know this is not easy for anybody. Like I said 100 times, I know the quarantine is not easy for anybody. So hopefully this can help some people who are really struggling and are having mental health issues, because mental health is something that's really important to me, and I've made a point of learning as much as I can about it. Not just from the therapy perspective, but from the neurological perspective. My area of study is actually cognitive sciences. So it's a passion of mine, and I want to help people. So that's another thing. If you want to message me and say, hey, I'm having a hard time, what do you suggest I do? And you're having a hard time remembering these things or whatever, I'll tell you, dude, go take a walk, go drink some water, go whatever. I will try to help you out. You can ask. I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of people message me ever since the I'll Be Your Mom video back in December that have had issues with mental health, and I have thankfully been able. I can't cure anybody of anything. I am not a licensed therapist. I'm not telling you I'm going to give you free therapy or anything, because that's I can't do that. But it's been nice to be able to see people say no, that's actually helped, because that's all I want to do. That's why I want to be a doctor. I want to help people, okay? So, guess that's it. If you're a Christian, please reread some of the New Testament and think about if your actions are really lining up with your beliefs, if you're protesting and you're complaining and things really line up with who we're supposed to be and what the church is supposed to be in the world. And I know quarantine is hard. I'm not saying it's not hard, just we're called to do hard things. So instead of focusing on let's end the quarantine and I'm miserable and complain, how about we focus on, hey, look at all these things that I can do to help my mental health. Look at all these ways that I can be productive. Look at all these ways that I can still be essential and that I can be God's hands and feet in the world and still protect my mental health. That I can still live a fulfilling life in quarantine. I can still be fulfilled in Christ and be in quarantine. And to those of you that aren't Christian, hopefully not just verses, but hopefully some of these are helpful for you too, that these are things you can do so that you can live your best life even while you're in quarantine. You don't have to feel like you have to risk other people's lives in order to be happy, that we can join together and we can do this. I mean, think about think about people who survived concentration camps. Think about single moms during world wars that were having to support their family on their own while their men were off at war. There's so many people that have gone through such harder so much things that were so much harder, and they've come out stronger in the end. And we are allowing our spoiled, privileged selves to complain and be miserable when we are still so comfortable. Like first world problems, you guys. And like I said, I know I've been guilty of it too, and I would appreciate if I'm stuck in complaining. I don't care if you're TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. I don't care if I know you personally or not. If you see me stuck in that I'm just complaining all the time, for the love of God, tell me to shut up. Quite honestly, tell me, remind me. The Bible says don't complain. The Bible says to give thanks in all circumstances. The Bible says you're going to have to take up your cross and you have to die to yourself and that life's going to be hard. Like, remind me of that. And I will do the same for you. I will remind you if I know you're a Christian. I will help remind you too, because that's another thing I didn't highlight, or I didn't sticky note today, but that's another part of the Bible. It says, speak the truth in love to each other. That means hold each other accountable. Say, dude, you're complaining and you're protesting a quarantine that's saving people's lives because you're uncomfortable. How are you being God's hands and feet right now? What can we do? What's a way we can volunteer? What's a way we can spread love to people? What's a way we can help people whose mental health is struggling? What's a way we can help people who can't provide for their families right now and are having a hard time? Like, how can we be light and love in the world like we're called to be, instead of complaining about it? Okay, it's not a political thing. It's not about rights. It's not about the economy. It's about, we are supposed to be citizens of heaven and we're just here temporarily. So I've had an attitude adjustment about it, and I'm going to stop complaining so much. And I'm going to focus more on what I can do for the kingdom of heaven versus how I'm uncomfortable here on planet Earth. And I hope the rest of you can do the same. And for those of you that are watching that aren't Christians, maybe you learned a thing or two about what the Bible actually teaches. And I hope some of these suggestions about mental health things help you, because I know a lot of people are struggling with mental health. So I took notes so I wouldn't ramble, and I've been rambling for like 2 minutes now. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you all for coming to my TED Talk. I hope it helps somebody. Okay. Ending TikTok. Ending Instagram. And I don't even know how to end. Oh, hi, Christian. I love you too, Christian. I miss you. You see this when you come back. How do I end on here? Oh, end. I'm trying to tap like it's a touch screen, and it's not a touch screen. Peace out.